When starting a new project on PowerPoint, you have two options. You can either start with a blank project or you can choose one of the templates. I definitely recommend starting with a template because it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to checking for accessibility. You're going to have little to no problems here. But if you're set on doing a custom project, you can always start with the blank presentation. You just have to take a few extra precautions. For now, I am going to choose a template, but I will get back to that custom project. So I went ahead and created a few slides here on PowerPoint, and you'll notice that there are very few issues with accessibility, especially because I went ahead and I started with a template. So let's see how we did. Let's go ahead and go to Review and then check accessibility. You'll notice our accessibility checker window opened and just a couple of things here to address. Let's see. First one says missing alternative text. Slide 3. Let's select that. When we're missing alternative text on an image, that's something we may come up with, especially if we're creating a custom project on PowerPoint. And I'll show you how to address that now. First, we'll select the image, we'll right click, go down to Edit Alt Text, and we want to go ahead and add a brief description. Once we've added our description, go ahead and close that alt text window, and you'll notice it's disappeared from the accessibility checker. The next one is a suggested alternative text. So let's go ahead and select that. And now this is something you might see on a template, and I'll show you why. We'll highlight the image, we'll right click, we'll go to Edit Alt Text. And the reason it's suggested is because PowerPoint did go ahead and generate a description for you, but under that description, it says description automatically generated. So in case you don't want that in your description, you just want to highlight it and delete it. So once you do that, you close out your window and all your issues are gone. Pretty simple. Now the second common issue you may run into is going to be reading order. You always want to check your reading order. And I'll show you how to do that now. Let's start with the first slide. Make sure we haven't selected anything on the slide like this. Make sure nothing is highlighted. So let's click off of the slide. Nothing is highlighted. And then use your tab button and it'll show you how it's going to read out. So it's going to start with the title and go down to the text. Go to your second slide and do the same. Select tab. Make sure that it goes from title to text or however it is you want it to flow. Go to the next slide and tab, 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 again, tab, 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 and final slide. So we've gone through and it seems that it's reading in a logical order. Although on slide 3 and 4, I noticed that it goes from title to image to text. Now, if you don't like the way that reads out, it's an easy thing to change. You go to your home button, you go to Arrange, click on this little arrow here, and go down to Selection Pane. Select that, and you'll notice this little selection pane window opens, and it shows you how it reads out. It starts from the bottom. It goes from title to image to text. So if I want to change the order, it's very simple. It's just drag and drop. So if I want my text to be the second thing to read in that slide, I'm going to drag that text down to the center here. And now this is the new order. It goes from title to text to image. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to close my selection pane. And now let's try it. Yep, that worked. So now let's get back to that custom project. There are a few things that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to a custom project. Let's go ahead and select blank presentation. So whenever you start with a blank project, it's going to offer some design ideas over here on the right. You can always use those if you'd like. Or whenever adding a slide, you go to new slide. But instead of adding a blank slide, I would always recommend using one of these presets. Choose the preset that's closest to what you want your project to look like. And keep in mind that if you don't like any of the text boxes, you can always delete them simply by highlighting and then deleting. Also, it's good to know that you can adjust the position or size without affecting accessibility. When creating presentations, we're often using color to make our content more interesting and aesthetically pleasing, which brings up another common issue in accessibility: color contrast. Here's a quick guide for choosing acceptable color combinations. While you may be able to see most of these color combinations, color contrast needs to be good enough to be deemed accessible. So always keep color contrast in mind as a general rule. To reference this quick guide at a later time, simply visit the color contrast page here at the Accessibility Center website.